Hey, good afternoon, traders. Well, we've got some things happening in the stock market. Silver is acting like a meme coin. The dollar's on the brink of disaster, and the SPY, which is the S&P 500, is in a consolidating triangle, indicating potential pullback in the near future. We'll take a look at all of that and more in just a second. First, a bit of housekeeping. As you guys have been following me on my site, you've noticed I've closed the code for my pivot zones indicator that is currently in beta stage testing and will continue through the end of February. The other thing I'm doing is a copy trade account. Can't say too much about that here because this also goes on TradingView and I am cognizant of house rules. So without further ado, let's just jump into these charts. Okay, so first I'm going to take a look at silver. Silver, as I said before, is just basically going parabolic. This chart only goes back so far, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a different chart up. I'm going to go to the monthly just to make sure. Yeah, we are only going through 2007. So I think if I type in silver here, I can pull up the trading view commodity index. Let's keep it on the monthly. Just take a note at what's happened here, guys. And this is not a good sign for fiat currency around the world, not just here in the US, but globally. This kind of thing rarely happens. You can see a couple times in the past it did happen here in 2000 and what 14 and over here in 2000 or 1980. All right, so we had a couple big spikes in silver, but nothing to this extent. And I think, guys, we need to pay close attention to this. It is telling us what the dollar may do, and I'm going all the way back here and I'm seeing something as I do this video. We could potentially use this. Excuse me, guys, I've got sort of a cough, and so I will be coughing from time to time here in the background, and I apologize. I'll try to keep it out of your ear. So we could do this and measure where silver is going. It's already exceeded that target. I think, honestly, it's anybody's guess, but if I was to guess, I would say silver wants to go to $100 before a local pullback. But absolutely amazing stuff, guys. We've gone all the way from down here. What was this? $17 and in February of September of 2022, all the way up here, silver really 5xing in less than 2 years' time. All right, and that's kind of, as I said, telling us what the dollar may do. I mentioned in the prelude here that the dollar was on the brink of disaster. What I mean by that is we've been getting stronger since 2008. We've been in this upward channel, and that's been a good sign, but that's just comparing the dollar against other fiat currencies globally. Now we have been testing the bottom of this channel for quite a few months now. In fact, I want to say it's been close to a year, and yes, I think I'm right. Almost a year here, we've been testing the bottom of this channel. The dollar has been threatening to collapse below this channel. If I was to guess, I would say the dollar may go down here somewhere around the 350 month moving average, which is 93. And all that means, guys, is the buying power of the dollar is going to get weaker and weaker despite what they are trying to tell us. They're trying to tell us inflation has been beat. No, it has not. It's only getting worse. And you and I know, boots on the ground, go to the grocery store, try to buy a house, everything, try to fix your repair your vehicle at the mechanic shop. Everything is only getting more expensive. That type of situation replicates itself over to stocks, and we've been tracking the S&P 500. I'm pulling up the SPX here. You can see we are in a channel. This is the monthly view. Trying to avoid coughing in your ear. I always get this cough sometime around winter. And there's a trend line down here. We've been in a secular bull run, as I've said, since 2009. Honestly, guys, we could come all the way down and touch this white trend line somewhere around $4,000 or lower, depending on when we would hit it, and we'd still be in a bull market. That's pretty amazing. I've said before, like if we came straight down, you could cut the price of the S&P 500 in half and still be in a bull market. I mean, can you imagine how much that would affect people's, Roth IRA, TSP, 401k, retirement accounts? People would be absolutely decimated. And still, we would be in a bull run. Just telling you how fast the dollar is deteriorating and how quickly the price of everything is going up. So let's take a closer look at this channel. I'm going to zoom into the daily. Let me get rid of my arrow first because I've got another one there for the daily. And you can see we are in the at the top of this channel, and also we have been coiling inside of this wedge since approximately April of 2025. All right, so at some point we're going to either break out and move up from this channel, and that price movement would be rapid. Or, guys, what we're going to do is break to the downside of this wedge and come on down here, possibly testing, that orange 350-day moving average, which coincidentally coincides with the middle of this channel, or we could even go lower. And the middle of that channel at this point right now is about 6,100. I It would take us some time to get there. So, it could be anywhere from 6,100 to 6,300 would be where I would expect us to go first. Or it's possible that we just test this 200-day moving average and continue moving up. Like I said, because the price of everything is becoming more and more expensive, I wouldn't expect a pullback to be too dramatic. The market does want to price that inflation in before everyone else, but I'm not seeing us jump to the top side of this channel, especially when we take a broader view, look and see how steep this channel actually is. I would expect us to come down at least to the middle of this channel, maybe to the bottom of this channel before we continue upwards. And continuing upwards, guys, doesn't, again, I know your stocks will go up. I know your retirement accounts will go up, but they're not going to go up as rapidly as inflation. Or the bang for your buck is going to be less and less and less when you withdraw that cash to pay for goods and services and things. All right, if that makes sense. So the ratio of buying power to purchasing goods and services is going to decrease dramatically. All right, one final thing, guys. Let's just take a look at Bitcoin here. Guys, I'm bearish, and I still am bearish. And zooming into the daily, I will give you 5 reasons why. One of the reasons I am bearish is not up here. Let's just see if I can put it up here real quick. I know I have drawn Wickoff in the past, and I have it in a group here somewhere, but I cannot seem to. Oh, here it is. All right, so here's that just creates a lot of noise, but there's other stuff here that I might as well talk about. But this is the Wickoff market cycle that I had called maybe 5, 6 months ago now. And you can see the accumulation down here. Let me get my arrow so you know where I'm referring to. And then we broke out of that accumulation channel, broke up as expected. This is the markup phase, came into this distribution channel, which we were there for quite a while. And once we hit this pi cycle top, which is a second negative indicator, it could not break it. In fact, we hit that pi cycle top 3 times. I'll show you in just a second where that comes from. For those of you who have not watched me before, I've talked about it. We came down and broke this distribution channel, and I knew we were in serious trouble at that point. And we came all the way down to another trend line I have drawn here. All right. Now, I said in the past, that's why I have this SMA resistance circle here. I am only starting to shift my bias again to bullish if we break to the upside of this 350-day moving average, preferably on the weekly. I'd like to see us and confirm. In other words, we need to have a trend existing above this 350-day moving average that tells us we're going to continue up. At this point, it's unlikely. All right, I'm going to go ahead and remove Mr. Wyckoff and show you where this pi cycle top trend line comes from. We'll have to zoom out here to the weekly, maybe even monthly to do that. I'll just keep it on the weekly. And we go all the way back here to December of 2017. I'll pull up our arrow here so you know where I'm talking about. That was where I first drew the line, touched here in our second top at April of 2021, continued this trend line, and look at this, guys. We touched it precisely on the weekly 4 times here on the weekly. Could not get ourselves through that. All right. So that is the second negative indicator telling me that we were potentially going down. Now, let me get my arrow right here for the daily chart. Back in the daily, you can see we are inside of see this red trend line here? compare that or parallel that with the pi cycle top, and you can see we have a megaphone pattern. Megaphone pattern is generally bearish, guys, especially when you're at a top. So this was also the third indicator telling me that once we broke this, which we did right here in a big way, we were going down hard. Now, where did we catch support? All right, that's this red trend line here. All right, see that? I'm going to zoom back out to the weekly, and you can see that comes all the way from our two tops during the last bull cycle. All right, first top here, going through the body here. You can see we used it as support over here in March of 2025, and then just recently hit that support again in November of 2025, right here precisely, and bounced up. That's when I knew we could. In fact, I was predicting it. Believe it or not, guys, I was actually too bullish in this case because I thought that bounce would give us momentum to potentially get us back up to 100,000. Never got there. In fact, right now you can see we are on the underside of resistance. That is the bottom of that megaphone pattern. And we are in a bear channel upwards. Again, I would only start to shift my sentiment bullish if we break above this, the bottom of this channel, then above this 350-day moving average, and then confirm. And then you still have that 200-day moving average above that. All right, lots of resistance above. Anyways, that was bearish indicator, what, number 3, did I say, or 4, something like that. The last one here that I'm going to draw out for you quickly is what I spotted in one of my previous videos, and you'll see it immediately as I draw it. Head and right shoulder, and that right shoulder exists within this bear flag. Okay, bear flag was bear indicator number 4. All right, so oops, I keep drawing stuff instead of moving my arrow. I hate when that happens. All right, so now I'm moving, guys, sometimes. All right, so here we are inside of this bear flag, and we have this potential, not completed yet, and definitely not confirmed yet, potential um, head and shoulders pattern, which 85% of the time does play out. All right, guys. So keep your eyes, definitely keep your eyes on that. That is something to behold. If that plays out, Bitcoin is going to continue down. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys. Don't shoot the messenger. Let's just one more thing here, since I'm only 15 minutes in. We'll take a quick look at Ethereum. Let's see what we see there. All right, I am pointing to resistance, which we are currently at. I'm going to pull up my pivot zones indicator to see, because I did get an indicator. That's why I have that arrow there. I did get an indicator there. I think it's repainted and not there any longer. But I got a sell signal there this morning inside of this liquidity block. So even though it doesn't exist right now, I'm going to pay attention to that area because that also happens to coincide with two big areas of resistance or trend lines. All right, let me zoom out to the weekly here to see if I can see where those come from. Okay, so we've got this massive triangle which we broke out of and now have come back inside of. That is immensely what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I can't think today, guys, but that is immensely important. I'll just use that word for now. Um, that trend line is significant. All right. So since we came back into this triangle, I'm going to assume, because a lot of times when you come back into these triangles, you are captured by the trend lines once again. That becomes resistance. And I'm going to assume that we may go back down, test, what are we on the weekly? This 200 week moving average, which is at the bottom here. What is the price on that? The price is approximately 2,500. All right. So losing, what's going to happen, guys? I don't know. Now, I will say this. I've got about 3 minutes left. So let's jump into what I've noticed in the past. And when we've seen like big spikes on privacy coins, right? Like look at Zcash here. This is incredible. This almost beats silver. Uh, who's going into these privacy coins? What I've noticed, let's take a look at Monero. All right, look at this spike. These are ridiculous, guys. This was a channel we existed in, this little red thing. If I zoom in into the daily, that was a channel, and we've just massively broken to the upside of those. Who is buying these privacy coins? But I've noticed in the past, anytime some big major geopolitical event is about to occur, privacy coins spike, and so That could also be a negative indicator for the future for both stocks and cryptos. Something to keep in mind. Again, guys, don't shoot the messenger. Sorry, my video went out here. That's what happens when I take it out of chart view. Here I am. See, back. Keep all of these things in mind, guys. I'm not saying that anything can happen. All we're doing here is trying to measure indicators that give us the greatest probability of outcome. And to me, it's just looking like it's looking bearish, at least for the foreseeable future. So keep that in mind. You all know that I pulled some trades out, in fact, last week due to the fact that I thought the stock market is getting ready to pull back. I don't know when that's going to happen. Could be over the weekend. Maybe we have a crash on Monday. I don't know. But something is not sitting right with me at this point. And I just wanted to create this video to make you all aware of what my current sentiment is. Hopefully that helps and you don't get too upset at me on my bearish outcome. All right. Peace, guys. We'll see you in the next video.